YouTube family? Let's get started and share some breaking news. We know Young Dolph's situation with the autopsy. I already released a video on that. He got hit with 22 rounds, they were saying. But now you got the news team in Memphis, ABC 24 Memphis News. They've been asking a lot of questions. Is it right to memorialize Young Dolph in Memphis? Should we worry about him? Cherish him as the king of hip hop, the legend that he was? Well, they're going out their way to basically speak against that. We're gonna break that down. We got more information on this. Need y'all to hit that like button and that notification bell and come rock out with the most winningest team out here. I Smoke Hip Hop Live. Salute, gang. So Young Dolph's situation takes a little bit spin, a little viral moment with the news team in his hometown. They had a question to ask, should he be memorialized? Because a lot of people don't really get why we're loving him or giving him respect that we give. But we got a situation with the young so-called legend. I have to say so-called because the people are biased, but we're gonna hear what the news team say. To me, he is a legend, not so-called. But let's hear what the news team got to say. Let's go.
About the Young Dolph in November and on South Airways in front of Makeda's Cookies, well-known establishment in that part of town. Young Dolph loved her cookies and was buying some when all this happened. And now, of course, the store will never reopen because the owners decided it's not safe for her to do so, especially with the memorial that's been erected in his honor. And so, Tanya, this just raises a very troubling question. You know, what is the best way to handle this? What is appropriate? You know, there are people who defend the fact that he was such a leader in the hip hop culture and loved his community, and we know about the turkey giveaways and all of that. But we also have a lot of folks who object to the lyrics in his songs, the misogynistic tone of a lot of them, the fact that that culture, as it is often the case, is such that, you know, a person doesn't feel, a business owner, a cookie store owner doesn't feel safe reopening her cookie store because she's so afraid of violence.
Yeah, that's quite a conundrum. I feel like we have to find a way to memorialize. I can't answer exactly how you would memorialize Young Dolph, but I feel like you should memorialize him, and here's why. Young Dolph, you know, despite the misogynistic lyrics, I mean, because let's face it, almost every artist has misogyny. The Rolling Stones, I could name a bunch of rock groups and things that have misogynistic lyrics and things like that. All those things happen as part of what they do, things like that. But Young Dolph's contribution to the community was that people knew him and they felt him. He'd go up to the schools and give money to people who needed it. He found himself as a black guy, you know, despite how you might feel about his particular art, whatever, he was in a situation where he could help the community that meant a lot to him. So that's how everybody, regardless of what I may think, that's how the people who leaving those memorials to him and those teddy bears, that's how they remember him, as somebody who saw them and who related to them, you know. And that's the thing, we can't take that away from them. We can't go and tell them, you know, don't remember this guy and let's not honor this guy and glorify him because of that part of his art. You know, I think that would be unfair to the community. But what I think it speaks to is a larger issue. And for me, that larger issue is that if we have communities that are idolizing rappers and people who manage to, you know, make money and get wealthy by doing things that may be unsavory to a lot of us, that begs the whole question of what's happened to the role models in those communities that you might want people to like and respect. And my short answer to that is a lot of them don't live around those communities anymore. Those people who Young Dolph went and gave money to, the people in those communities, are people who feel alienated from everybody else. They feel like everybody's forgotten about them and the struggles they go through with the poverty, trying to work 2 or 3 jobs. So it's like, you know, we may not see Young Dolph, but Young Dolph saw these people who want to memorialize him. It's a conundrum as to whether or not where the cookie store can open, and it's sad. I don't know how to address that. You know, the death threats, people are probably paranoid and upset because every time every time you take something away from somebody like that, they figure it's a conspiracy. They already feel like the whole society is against them. So this is one person who's trying to help them that somebody, powers that be didn't want to help them. So you have all that confusion tied into that. I perfectly understand her decision not to reopen, but however you do it, you have to find a way to memorialize him, not necessarily for his art, but for what he meant to the people who feel like they didn't have another voice besides him.
Well, you raised some very good points. So, Susan, we know that we've already named a street after him. The city council did that just several weeks after his death. What other options are there that might be appropriate in your mind?
Well, let me start out by saying, truthfully, I don't quite understand his music, but a lot of people do, and they like it.
Yeah.
So maybe these young Dolph supporters could find a museum that would tell his story about his music, whether it's Stax Museum or Brooks Museum or the Civil Rights Museum. Somebody can have memorialize him with an exhibit about young Dolph. But while we're at it, there have been a lot of Memphis rappers that have been killed. What about the rapper Snooty Wild, who was shot and killed in Houston about 10 days ago? I mean, should we do something for him too? Or maybe the community and young Dolph's supporters should do perhaps the gracious thing, and something that, if I'm correct, young Dolph would have done, and simply support the cookie shop that was forced to close over on Airways because young Dolph was killed there. Wouldn't the reopening of that cookie shop in his memory be also something good? But, how do you tame these angry people? I just don't know.
Yeah, well, I agree. There should be some way to kind of, if I had to just say right off the top of my head, I think there should be some way to memorialize him with the cookie shop, some way to do that kind of thing. But, this raises so many questions in our community about, the people who, first of all, I think young Dolph is different from the other rappers in that people knew him on a more personal level. Like at his funeral, they were talking about things he'd give to people, how he would pay people's bills and things like that. He'd do stuff, so people knew him in that kind of way. All the others, I'm not sure if they do the same thing. If they saw him, they saw this guy in the community on the regular. They saw him in the regular. So he was like one of them, and
that's why that's tremendous outpouring, I'm sure, because they did relate to him. You've been covering the story and the memorial as well. That's not going to be an easy thing to remove, is it? The owner of the building is not the cookie store owner, and he's very concerned.
And it's really just unfortunate because, I spoke with the family spokesperson of the Makeda store. Ideally, you would want to open it up and show that you're rising above the violence, but unfortunately, this family has been dealing with, according to a family spokesperson, death threats, a lot of negativity. That's the real sadness of this story. Is Makeda's is a black-owned business, a well-known business. Young Dolph supported it, and because one act of gun violence, the store will never reopen. And even the person who was maintaining the memorial, who I did an exclusive interview with back in January, that person was killed just a couple of weeks ago in another separate act of gun violence. So this story just is tragedy upon tragedy. To Tanya's point, I wish we could reopen. I wish it could be a triumphant thing. And young Dolph did mean a lot to people. It is going to be interesting to see how do you do that, because it's not going to be in that space there as we're showing right now. It's going to have to be somewhere else, and where that will be. There's even disputes on city council of how to go about when he had the honorary street named after him. So,
well, I will say Pamela Hill, the owner of Makeda's, told me business is so good at their downtown location, and now they're talking about striking up some deals with some grocery store chains and things that they may not really need a second location. Maybe they're doing just fine without. But it would be nice if she really did want to have some kind of memorial wall or something at the new location, had that worked out. But for the reasons we've just discussed, they're not going to do it.
Violence is a real public health issue here that at some point we got to get at.
You're right about that, Tanya. No doubt, no doubt. All right, well, we'll take a...
As you can see, a lot of things was talked about, and they use Makeda, I can't pronounce it. They use the cookie shop as a symbol of why and they need to tear down the memorial of young Dolph at that cookie shop, and why the cookie shop had to move away. So there's a lot of blame game going on. If you guys can easily see what I see, there's blame games of who did what and who went where to uplift and upset, and you heard what the lady used. I don't know how to tame these people. So it's almost like animals, you heard, even though she didn't say that. I believe they were being respectful. I believe these people were going about what they know and what they see when they hear the hip hop. So I want you guys to tell me, should Young Dolph be memorialized? Should the cookie shop be out there as the now famous victims of this case? Because if you can see what's going on, the cookie shop is being looked as the victims, and Young Dolph's situation, his contribution to the community and society in Memphis, and also of that domestically across hip hop and internationally, he's being deemed, and not deliberately by this news team ABC 24 Memphis, but by a segment of the people who feel that he shouldn't be celebrated. And it's a shame that Makeda's cookie shop had to leave, because you hear the threats, educational purpose, that they say they're getting. I don't hear any of the threats. Maybe they are, I can't say they're lying, but I do see bloggers and everybody, including myself, who's questioning them and some of the things they've done. Now, me, I haven't said that they are responsible for the death of Young Dolph. I don't know. Shout out to Ratchet TV. He's doing his investigating journalistic thing. I can't be the one to say that, but did I see some clout chasing as far as trying to get fame off of Dolph's name? I did absolutely see that from the cookie shop. So with me being here, man, y'all tell me y'all personal feelings. It's a lot going on with Dolph. Look, man, I love everybody, man. On another episode of I Smoke Hip Hop Live. Love your family, love your kids, and stay blessed. Be sure to go check out me on Instagram, you feel me, at DJ_bless1, and rock out with us. Also, thank you for watching another great video and episode of I Smoke Hip Hop Live. Make sure you guys support us. Hit the like button, comment, share this video, and subscribe. All right, gang, I'm out.